When I'm completely overwhelmed by my life, by my kids, by the world, I tend to focus on immediate things in my environment that can make an impact on my mood and my life. Obviously, this is going to look different for everyone, but for me, those things are baking and cleaning. Setting my physical environment to rights just does something to the chemicals that are overfiring in my brain and helps me regulate myself in a way that not much else can. So today, I thought I'd take you along with me on a random day in my overwhelmed life. We'll chat about the things that are dysregulating me and probably have a few laughs at my expense. If you've just stumbled across me and my channel, hi, I'm Dakota Rebel. I make videos for women who are trying to navigate their messy, hectic lives. I focus a lot on ADHD and planners because that's what my life tends to revolve around. But we're building a community of busy, mostly perimenopausal friends, and I'd love for you to join the family. Hit that subscribe button for me if you will, and let's get back to my nonsense. As a stay at home homeschool mom to an autistic teenager who's also trying to build a work from home empire as an author, YouTuber, and digital content creator while currently going through perimenopause, my life feels off the rails far more often than I feel on them. I wasn't called to this life as if it were some higher purpose, by the way. It happened in a very roundabout way. The middle school that my son was attending was an understaffed, underfunded dumpster fire who lost all control of his IEP and his situation in general. He was bullied by other kids and sometimes the staff, and things were just a powder keg waiting to explode spectacularly. At the same time, my corporate job that I'd had for over 15 years was downsizing, and I got caught up in the final wave of cuts. So I was unemployed. He was careening toward getting expelled, and it just sort of came to a head where I decided that I was going to learn how to educate him myself. We'd make insane lifestyle changes, going from two full-time incomes to one. I'd continue to write books, I'd start this channel, and we'd just figure it out. And we are figuring it out. Slowly and messily, but we're working on it. And this is why I'm constantly harping about progress over perfection, because I certainly don't have it all figured out. But even on my worst days now, I wouldn't want to go back to where we were before. If you've been with me for a while, you know that in March I started what I was calling a 45-day hard reset. I made a decision to purposely overwhelm myself with work in an attempt to move the needle on some things that had grown stagnant. Many of you warned me that I was diving headfirst towards burnout by doing this, and I knew that was a possibility. But I also knew that the previous few months of doing absolutely nothing was not working for me, and I had to try a complete 180. It both worked and did not work. Some of it was my fault, and some of it was just the state of the world around me, causing my emotions and stress that I wasn't prepared for and did not factor into my plan. Now, here is the part where I remind you that I will delete any and all political rhetoric in my comments. If you need to spit and hiss and vent about your views, take yourself to Facebook. I desperately want this to be a place of peace and calm and humor. We talk about labyrinth and stickers here. Having said that, things cost more now. They just do. And when people cut back on non-essentials so they can afford groceries, those of us who make a living in a creator space, like writing romance novels, find our income going down the toilet. I've never been a big seller anyway, making just enough to supplement my husband's income. A small dip can be scary. But what's happening to my sales right now is unsustainable. For the first time in almost 20 years of being a published author, I'm seeing $0 days. And listen, I know that it is tacky to talk about money, but finding myself in a place where my career is disappearing before my eyes is terrifying and depressing. And when you're terrified and depressed, it's really hard to create. I used to be able to write a book every 2 or 3 months. When I was writing shorter romance, I could do one a month. But we're sitting firmly in the middle of April, and I haven't put a romance book out since November of last year. I did manage to write and release Life on Hard Mode, Mastering Life with ADHD, available now at the links below. Forgive the shameless plug, please. And I am so proud of it. But my creative well for romance has dried up. It's hard to want to spend the time and the energy creating something that no one's going to read. But it's a double-edged sword because new books sell better than old books. So I sit and I stare at my work in progress every day, and then I close the file and go bake something instead. Because baking is immediate. It is a solid structure of work for reward. I know that putting my energy into flour and yeast will result in exactly what I want from it. The same cannot be said of creative pursuits, at least not when they're relied upon for an income. So my 45-day hard reset has kind of petered out. I did do quite a bit, but then I walked away from the plan. It didn't necessarily burn me out, but it didn't give me the dopamine boost that I expected from it. So now I need a new plan. And, for me, planning is the fun part. Executing sucks because executing the plan is, where the work is. But the planning part is super fun. So I am looking forward to coming up with a new plan to kind of refresh my creative career. But I don't even know where to start. So I'm just kind of stuck in this frozen place again, which is where I was at the beginning of the year, which is why I came up with the 45-day hard reset in the first place. So I don't know what it's going to look like going forward, but I know that things cannot continue the way they've been going because it's just not sustainable for creating a life, if you know what I mean. Like I can't just have no income coming in, but I don't know that I can any longer rely on writing romance books as a career, at least not at this time. And that's really scary because I've been published for almost 20 years, but I have been a writer my whole life. From when I was very, very little, in school, I would write, creative stories, and my teachers were all like, "Oh, you have such a gift." And, once you hear that from an adult as a child, that's where you want to focus your energy. And I love writing. I do. I love writing, but it is a very solitary endeavor. It is a very volatile market when that is your career, relying on other people, right, to buy your books and to read them and love them and tell their friends. And it's a very up and down kind of place to be. And so I don't know where I go from here with that part. I thoroughly love making videos for YouTube, but I don't know that that is necessarily a career path, more than kind of a fun hobby and a way to make friends as a person who doesn't leave their home. I've made some incredible connections with people here, and I love you all so dearly. And the fact that you want to come hang out with me while I'm making bread and cinnamon rolls and complaining about being an author, like that's incredible. That's just incredible. And I love you guys so much. So thank you for that. That just makes my heart swell like the Grinch. And I'm so glad you're here. I talk a lot on this channel about not comparing yourself to the highlight reels of other women you see on the internet, and that's part of why I wanted to make this video today. Because if you were to just take the footage of me in my luchador apron, baking bread and cinnamon rolls and making cookies, It would look like I'm a crunchy mom making our food from scratch because chemicals and blah, blah, blah. But in reality, I'm stressed out and overwhelmed and busy as hell, and I had to force myself to stop and do something tactile with my hands to regulate myself. Listen, I have no idea if making bread is really cheaper than buying it. I've never done the math because I don't care. That's not why I do it. I know for sure it tastes better than store bought because my son wants it every single day, and if we only had regular store bought bread, he would never ask for it. I bake our bread because I love baking bread. It is a form of therapy for me. The structure of assembling the ingredients, kneading the dough, doing the work, centers me. It has nothing to do with additives or cost or anything like that. My ADHD craves routine and guaranteed outcomes. I mean, not everything about baking is guaranteed, but for the most part, I know that putting these ingredients together in this way will result in bread, or rolls, or cookies. Very little else in my life has a guaranteed outcome. I don't know if my books are going to sell. I don't know if anyone is going to watch these videos. I don't know if I'll sell anything on eBay today. I don't know if I'm going to cry all day or be productive. I don't know if my son is going to have a good day or a bad day. I don't know if my husband is going to have Magic Club on Tuesdays or Thursdays any given week. But if I add flour, butter, eggs, yeast, and milk to my mixer, I will for damn sure get bread. And sometimes I need that surety in my life. So I make bread. It's not a lifestyle choice. I'm not homesteading from my trailer park. They won't even let me have a chicken. But we will be planting watermelons this year, and I am super excited about that. Speaking of no guaranteed outcomes, I have never had this happen before, but one of my cinnamon rolls made a break for it. It completely proofed up over the pan, and a piece of it just went all the way off into the oven. So even in baking, there are no guaranteed outcomes, but I thought this was super funny, so I figured I'd just leave it in and give you guys a laugh. My son is also a fan of guaranteed outcomes, and every morning for breakfast he gets fruit, some kind of a bread product, and a spinach and Parmesan cheese omelet. So even when I am in the midst of baking as if my life depends on it, I have to stop every morning and make him his breakfast. But, at least it's a healthy breakfast and he enjoys it. And I actually appreciate that he wants the same thing every single day because it makes it so much easier for me when I'm meal planning and grocery shopping that I just get the same stuff all the time. And I super love that journey for both of us. Cleaning is another one of those things that's a dopamine hit for me. I know this isn't something everyone can relate to, but when my environment is cluttered, my head is cluttered. And while my home may not be completely company ready at all times, I cannot regulate myself if it gets too crazy messy. I wasn't always like this, and a quick glance into my car would make you believe the exact opposite of me. But because I rarely leave my house now, it has become incredibly important for me to have a clean and calm home, or else my head will just spiral. For the most part, I follow a cleaning schedule that I've created where each room gets a deep clean on a specific day of the week, with general tidying done of all spaces on most days. This works well for me, but sometimes, since I can't predict what any given day will bring, I get off schedule and things get a little out of hand. And look, I'm not looking at this video and thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I'm letting people see how trashed my house is, because I know that it's not. A few dog toys and random blankets do not a pigsty make. But because everything else in my world feels off balance at the moment, even the small clutter on the floor feels like an actual mess in my body and in my head. Vacuuming is one of those things that I hate doing. I cannot tell you what about it drives me nuts, but I tend to put that one thing off as much as possible, which is irritating because it's also the one thing that makes my house look the cleanest. Listen, with ADHD, the things that I think and feel do not always equal logic, okay? And here we see my pop doll collection. I have talked about this in many videos, but I've never actually shown you the extent of my addiction and problem with pop dolls. I absolutely love them. Again, this isn't even all of them. This is just the display shelves that I keep in my bedroom of some of my favorite pop dolls. And yeah, it's a problem, but it's a problem I enjoy having. So please do not judge. We've also talked about the fact that I make my bed every day and how this is not so much a productivity thing as it is my way of ensuring that I, one, don't get back into bed when things start to feel a little rough, but also there is nothing better than climbing into bed at the end of the day and your bed is made like a hotel bed and you slide between clean sheets with it's just the best. And with the issues that I have with insomnia, getting into a made bed completely helps me fall asleep better and faster. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this glimpse into my dysregulated, overwhelmed life. I wasn't really sure where I was going to go with this video. I knew that I wanted to film me baking and cleaning and doing the things because I very much enjoy watching that type of video. So I thought it would be fun to make one, but while I was filming, I just wasn't 100% sure what I was going to talk about. And then it became very apparent throughout the day the reason that I was doing all of these things was because everything just felt bad. Everything felt bad. And so over the weekend, I think even my husband could tell that something was just off with me. So we had a wonderful family weekend doing things that we don't generally do. Saturday was record store day, and we went to several record stores and got to flip through records, and that is always fun. Obviously, I am a collector, as evidenced by my pop dolls and everything else that you see around me, all of my planner supplies and everything. And one of the things that I don't know if people realize about collectors, even when we don't purchase things, because I am still on my no-buy, looking at and studying and just touching the things that we collect, even if we're not bringing them home, really brings joy to us. So even though I didn't buy a bunch of records to add to my collection, going and seeing what was new for record store day and looking at older records and just being in the environment of music lovers really helped to like fill the well and feed my soul. So that was Saturday. And then Sunday was a sports card show, and we went to that, and I got to talk to other sports card enthusiasts and flip through cards and look at things and touch things and be around people, which I do not do very often. And so it was a very recharging kind of video, or weekend kind of video. My goodness. It was a very recharging weekend to go to places that I had never been before, to go back to places that I love, to be in an environment with people who are into the things that I am into, did more for my mental health and my emotions than I actually realized that it would. So, as if I am not thankful enough for my husband, I am even more thankful to him right now for recognizing that there was something shifted inside me that was dysregulating me and was causing me to feel some type of way, and coming up with a plan to help me when I wasn't even fully aware that I needed the help. So I'm doing much better now than I was Friday morning when I started filming that video, when I was like, I need to get my hands into some dough before my hands go around somebody's neck, which is how I was feeling. No one that I personally know, I was just off. Everything felt wrong and broken, and I felt like I was never going to get out of that funk. So I spent 3 days doing things that I enjoy doing, and it has completely reset my outlook on things. Yeah, there are still issues. I doing these things didn't fix what is causing me to feel that way in the first place, but it did help put things into perspective. There are still things that I find joy in. There are still places I can go and people I can meet that remind me that there is good out there. And when I did my 45-day hard reset plan, that was about work. And I didn't take into account the mental aspect of what needed to be shifted. So now I have both sides of the equation. I know that when I go to make my next plan, I have to balance out the work that needs to be done with the mental aspects that also need to be done. I need to balance fun and work. And I don't know if it's a me thing. I don't know if it's an ADHD thing. This all or nothing mentality of, okay, well, for this 45 days, I'm going to focus on work and there won't be time for fun. And I cannot continue to behave in that manner. I have to find a balance between getting the work done that I need to get done and actually refilling the well that allows me to get that work done. It's a balance that I've never been good at finding. And that is where my focus needs to be. I need to find an outlet for fun that will allow me to fill my creative well and give me the mental headspace to do the work. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that maybe I'm sorry I keep kicking the camera. It's in a really weird place right now. I hope that you enjoyed getting to know me a little bit better, my weird little idiosyncrasies, and I hope that maybe you got something out of it as well. I do hope that if you are new here, you're still here and you'll consider subscribing and joining our little family. And if you are one of my reals who are here all the time, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Everyone, please do not forget to smash all those YouTube buttons. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell, hit all the things. Leave me a comment below. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know if you have any questions that maybe you thought I would be answering that I didn't, and I would be happy to, either in the comments or in a future video. Let me know what other kinds of things you want to see from me. If you enjoyed this type of video where you watch me just do shit while I talk, whatever you want, just let me know in the comments below. I love you so much, and I will see you next time.